before we go for the day, let's just finish up with how that lovely 5D community support brings enjoyable, playful, enlightening, and loving relationships to life. So you have healthy others, not unhealthy others, and that's number one. We have our lovely 5D mystic and functional adults is how we're going to organize it. So the integrated brain person, okay, and they are in the awareness of how to handle emotional and mental planes by using their mind wisely, by owning it, observing, witnessing, narrating. So you're a mindful and spiritual person, or one and in the other, and enlightening. Okay, so you know how to bring forth playfulness when the depths of emotional experiences are in the room. You know how to handle when a shame, sex, unhealthy, insecure attachment human being disconnects. And so it's not rejection, it's protection. You don't call people names, and we don't keep using Lucifer and evil, Knievel, medieval. And this is why for the 5D mystics in the divine feminine seat will not talk to you about that twin flame stuff in a way of tragedy, because we own the mind, so we know how to wield it as we are experiencing that which takes place. But also we own the heart, and divine feminines are inner and outer nurturers. And so we will have had a relationship to begin with this. And transmuting is easy because we can see clearly, consistently, due to our self-aware, accountable, and regulating skills. So healthy, secure attachment are those who embody the essence of a divine feminine, because they have a body that doesn't store trauma charges, but that processes the depth of the emotional experience, continues to be their genuine, true, authentic self, and brings forth, hi, my name's Maria. Doesn't matter if you're a twin flame of mine or not, this is who you get. Okay, so for the divine feminine, nothing changes because of titles with our oversoul. The 4D collective is a whole different story. That's why they got waves and, bunch of different things going on. One second. And so they don't know that they're cool just the way they are. They don't actively think it, feel it, none of it. They also don't own their own brain and mind and their own self. That's why, again, they are leading with a fear that comes up. They don't take their inner child seriously. And so unhealthy, insecure attachment is what you find within any of that 3D, 4D community stuff. And that's facades. So when you meet adaptive child parts, you're going to know, because they act like Cusco, and then they also act like the squirrels from Cusco land. And that's why the facades, we don't take them seriously. That's why Lucifer would laugh at his name being used with unhealthy shame, blame, fault, revenge, maladaptive patterns of behavior, with the shame sex stuff, the shame drug stuff, the shame drinking stuff. They're all shoving down that which wants to be cleared. Unhealthy because your energy body wants to process. It wants you to witness, and then to welcome, and then to say it's okay, like this. And that's why the will to heal, though, is of the unhealthy, insecure other, and not for me or you or any of us to say, hey, you need to do this stuff, because that's not how it works. So states of consciousness are unaffected by each other, because the ego is always in the lead. And so it's your ego that says to you, hey, I like what healthy self-worth people have to say. Same thing, it's the ego. And if you have a first 3 years of life with shame and defectiveness, it's going to say, you know what, I don't trust love or kindness. And that's why they follow those facade 7 to 14 charming people who use Lucifer's name and God the way they do. Okay, we see clearly because we have a prefrontal cortex, so you know how to be in the now. And that's for all my mindfulness and spirituality, living and loving people, which is why we can be the wind beneath each other's wings consistently as healthy others. And that's why, again, the community builds playful and engaging, consistent communication. So when we have somebody who doesn't do that, we don't say, I'm going to cut you out of my herd, I'm going to complain about you. We're going to do it in a series of interactions, and you learn what the other wants. And it's also called when you have different attachment ideas. And so that's where, from Polysecure, anybody remember? So as she shares with us in one of the pages, internal attachment healing, she says, is 198. is needed for the heart of secure functioning to become possible and then to take root in relationships. And she says, even in the most remarkably secure relationships, being together forever is not a given. That one we know, which is why people who have insecure attachment, they will have attachment ruptures and trauma that leaves a distorted sense of self through the beliefs that they don't matter, that they're flawed, broken, unworthy, or too much. And that's in the feeling, because when I say we are flawed with integrity, the feeling is unconditionally loving my own flaws. Okay, so that's the difference between a healthy partner and one that's not, and a healthy person. So healthy partners, they know how to be aware of our own feelings and desires and the feelings and desires of another, and how to talk consistently about that. We know how relationship cannot be built upon false premises, and that will be something that happens with those who don't know secure attachment. Why? Because people who have insecure attachment need guidance in connecting more with their authentic needs. They don't know how to self-attune, and they don't know how to self-regulate in healthy self-worth ways. That's why they have the low self-esteem, passive, aggressive, indirect communication. They do the unbridled self-expression. They don't know that healthy boundaries is conversing. Some will hold back sex, or they will hold back calling. So those mannerisms are in the maladaptive and adaptive patterns of behavior when emotional buttons and triggers happen, and they're unaware because they're not healing their inner child, which is why it doesn't matter if you have twin flames or not, or one twin flame or soulmates. If you're a person, you will know if a person is a healthy, self-worth individual, because they will know how to talk to you always, not just sometimes. So the silent treatment is already right there an indication that somebody doesn't know how to talk. And if they're not coming in with a consistent building of intimacy, you again have a very clear message of they're not going to be around, because they come in and out, and so that's the insecure person who prefers and desires to default into their more reflexive, insecure defense mechanisms. It's going to be automatic. It's not that they prefer it, but if they don't choose to go and get into their healthy, secure attachment, self-worth life, which is why I stopped blaming Lucifer for it, they're not going to move into their actual self, and they're going to lead a life like a Cusco. And a Cusco isn't impressive. So when people talk to me about devils and demons and evils, I say, stop insulting our brothers and sisters. You are just like they are, and I am just like they are. We all have a 1-year-old. I'm securely attached. Are you? I'm a whole 3-year-old differentiated self who has a heart that says, are you? And then I say, you don't live in their body or their brain, right? Do you know about Determined, Robert Sapolsky? Do you know about Patrick McNamara, neuroscientist? Do you know about Bessel van der Kolk? Do you know about Stephen Porges? Do you know about any of this stuff that is very important? You have fought it hard to believe the first few years of life. So anytime somebody wants to refute attachment and trauma information, I got an ignorant, uneducated, and willfully uneducated. I want to stay with Lucifer, evil demons, and just be a person who shouts. And therefore I want to get all of my charges out. Go ahead, spit it on the floor, vomit. It's not going to affect my nervous system because I'm a human love button. You're a human suffering love right now who doesn't know how to regulate yourself as we're talking, and to hear what you just said to somebody who's sharing with you information that's empowering and that's compassionate. But wait a minute, you don't want to be compassionate. Okay, so we don't have to teach anyone anything. We are going to be walking and talking. I do, as Jesus taught me. It's called forgive and compassion. It's not a gift. It's a choice to be mindfully and spiritually living and loving. That's what makes a healthy partner and a healthy person in general. And that's what makes person be someone who's raising, growing, building intimacy, which is why we don't have shame sex at all if you're a person who has secure attachment, independently from if you have clairs or no clairs. You will not know of this except for by conscious choice, as you know, one story, but that's at least in my book. Other people have different stories to tell you, but securely attached people consciously choose if they want to become physical or not, and it's always intimate. It's the whole point. A secure attachment person doesn't do facades. The facades are the ones who don't show up. They don't have a heart involved. They have the absence of caring about, in fact, you, so much so that they choose silence and they don't think twice about how they have conducted themselves to say, you know what, let me have the conversation with the person because it's important, because it is. And so it's the unaware, uneducated, not Lucifer business. It's not evil. It's uneducated, unaware. People don't like to hear it when they are not ready to be in the 5D securely attached version of their self. I have plenty of 4D stories for you. I might tell some of them. So the insecure attachment, again, they want their reflexive insecure defense mechanisms. And if they don't go and get healed, they want to share that inner critic and outer critic. That's exactly what they do. They also don't learn to self-attune and regulate into securely attached, self-compassionate, and then compassionate towards others. And they don't access their inner nurture like the Zen master with laundry. Okay, so when this happens, all insecure attachment, any individuals with the styles or the insecure categories or disorganized category, they will not know self-attunement, and so they would benefit from learning self-attunement, and they would benefit from learning to learn true self-regulation and self-soothing in healthy ways rather than turning to distraction, deflection, or avoidance, which is instead what they do, because it's uncomfortable for them to connect to the pain body, which is why good therapy is what they need with EMDR, child parts work, and somatics, so that they can become their inner safe haven and secure base. It's once they have earned secure attachment or are on their way to it with a good therapist that they're going to say, okay, I want a healthy other in my life and more. And it's because they're ready to be a healthy other. So they're ready to commit to consistently communicate and to build life together. That's the beauty of, again, the 5D people. So we are always that wind beneath each other's wings, because we can show up as healthy others and build mindful relationships and a mindful and some also spirituality life. So we'll be back with some stories in a little bit. And in the meantime, thanks for stopping by. Like, share, and subscribe.